My sister texted me out of nowhere. Don't come to mom's retirement party. She doesn't want you there. I stared at the screen for a second, then replied, cool. I'll stop paying for it then. 4 days later, she was sobbing in my voicemail and my mom was texting in all caps. I always knew my sister didn't like me. That wasn't new. What was new was how far she was willing to take it. She had a talent for walking the line between petty and completely unhinged, but this time she crossed it. It started with that text. 6 words. Then another message right after, doubling down. It was 10:42 p.m. on a Thursday. I was sitting on my couch, tea in hand, scrolling through confirmations, for the same party I was apparently banned from. The venue alone had cost nearly $4,000. I'd already paid the caterer, one of mom's favorite farm-to-table places, another $2. There was a band, a decorator doing one of those elaborate floral walls, custom invitations, even a slideshow guy digitizing hundreds of old family photos. Photos of me with mom. Not my sister. Me. And now I wasn't invited. I didn't answer right away. That slow, burning feeling hit, where you're not sure if you're angry or just sick to your stomach. I set my phone down, then picked it back up, hoping maybe it was some kind of joke. That's when I saw it. My dad had liked the message. That tiny thumbs up said everything. This wasn't confusion. It wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a decision, and I'd just been cut out of it. So I didn't argue. I didn't ask why. I didn't beg. I just replied, cool. Then I opened my email. One by one I canceled everything. The venue, gone. I lost the deposit. Didn't care. The caterer, canceled even though they'd already prepped ingredients. The cake, all 4 tiers of it, scrapped. The band, refunded, politely confused by how calm I sounded. They had no idea that calm was just anger. On mute. The next day, silence. No follow-up. No just kidding. No explanation. Nothing. Which told me everything I needed to know. They really thought they could uninvite me from a party I was funding and I just accept it. 4 days later, reality hit them. My phone lit up with a voicemail. 3 minutes of my sister crying like she was auditioning for a drama series. Not once did she apologize. She just complained. The venue was booked. The caterer wasn't responding. Everything was falling apart. How could you do this? She kept saying. I didn't call back. A few hours later, my mom texted. All caps. No punctuation. Why would you do this? No greeting. No conversation. Just pure outrage. And that's when it really clicked. They weren't upset that I wasn't coming. They were upset because the party couldn't happen without me. They'd spent so long treating me like I didn't matter, they forgot I was the one holding everything together. This was the same sister who called me ugly growing up. The one who said I was the family mistake. The one who acted like my presence in a room was an inconvenience. And somehow now she was the favorite. The center of everything. And I was supposed to quietly disappear. Not this time. So I stayed away. And that was just the beginning. I hadn't even touched the slideshow yet. Or the memory table. Or the custom invitations. They wanted me out. Fine. But they were about to learn what it actually meant when the quiet one walks away, and takes everything holding it together with her. The day of the party, I was nowhere near it. I sat in a small bookstore across town sipping a latte, flipping through a novel I wasn't really reading. My phone kept buzzing every few minutes. Calls, voicemails, messages. But I ignored all of it. I already knew what they'd say. It would start with tears and end with blame. They never managed to rebook anything. From what I heard, the retirement party turned into a rushed backyard potluck. Plastic chairs. Burnt burgers. Someone playing music off a phone speaker like it was an afterthought. My cousin Rachel sent me a photo. She didn't even try to hide it. My sister stood next to mom holding a tray of grocery store cupcakes, looking like everything had collapsed on her. Mom looked even worse. Behind them, a crooked happy retirement banner sagged across the garage door. Someone had scribbled "You'll be missed" on a foam board in glitter marker. Half the guests didn't even show up. Most thought the event had been canceled. I just let it happen. That night, another voicemail came in. This time my sister wasn't crying, she was furious. She said I humiliated the family. Said I ruined mom's big day on purpose. Said I was jealous because she and mom were closer now. That one actually made me laugh. She'd always acted like the favorite. Growing up, I could never get it right. I was too quiet. Too emotional. Too sensitive. Not helpful enough. Meanwhile, she could break something and be called creative. Once when I was 13, I asked to switch bedrooms. Mom called me selfish for causing tension. And now I was the manipulative one, because I stopped paying for a party they told me not to attend. I didn't respond. Instead, I finished what I started. I canceled the slideshow. The files, deleted. The flash drive, wiped. The backups, gone. The guy even emailed to double-check. I told him, yes. Erase everything. Every scanned photo. Every family memory. Every carefully planned detail. Gone. The next day my dad called. He never calls. He didn't yell. He just sounded tired. Said things weren't supposed to turn out like that. I let him talk. Then I asked one question. Did you mean it when you liked that text? There was a long pause. Then he said, I thought it was better if you didn't come. Your sister was really upset. I didn't want things to escalate. That was it. Years of being blamed for everything. Years of being labeled the difficult one. The outsider. The problem. And the one time I stood up for myself, it was still my fault. That's when something in me shut off. I didn't just step back. I cut them off. A week later, my sister texted me like nothing had happened. Said there was a family dinner Sunday and I should stop acting like a child. I blocked her. And then things got worse. The following week, I had to travel for work. Before leaving, I asked my parents to watch my dog, Bentley. They'd done it before. He loved their yard. I was supposed to pick him up that Saturday. I pulled into the driveway, leash in hand. Knocked. Waited. 10 minutes later, my mom came outside. And the first thing she said didn't make sense. Bentley's gone. At first I thought he'd escaped. Maybe the gate was left open. Maybe something happened. But she wouldn't look at me. And then she said it, flat like it meant nothing. Your sister sold him. Sold him. I just stood there. Because my brain couldn't process it. He wasn't lost. He wasn't missing. They gave him away. He wasn't lost. They sold my dog. And something inside me broke so cleanly, so completely I could actually feel it. Like a switch flipped. The version of me they'd been walking over for years, quiet, patient, accommodating, was gone. I was done. I don't even remember walking into the house. I just remember what it felt like the second I crossed the doorway. Everything hit at once. Every insult. Every eye roll. Every time I was told to stay quiet, to stop being difficult, to not make things worse. It all came rushing back like it had been waiting for this exact moment. My mom stood in the hallway, arms folded. Not worried. Not apologetic. Just waiting. Like I'd complain for a minute and then leave. She said my sister needed the money. Said I needed to stop clinging to things. Then she added, casually, that Bentley would be happier with a real family. One with a yard. Kids. I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I just walked past her. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Just the ticking of the kitchen clock echoing through it. I went straight to the room my sister used when she stayed over. Her purse sat on the chair. Makeup scattered across the dresser. A laundry basket shoved under the bed. I didn't think. I grabbed the basket, dumped it out, and started tearing. Shirts. Jeans. Sweaters she used to brag about. Fabric ripped under my hands, threads snapping, pieces falling everywhere. I knocked over the vanity. Bottles rolled, one shattered near my foot. I didn't stop. I moved through the house like something that had finally been let loose. The hallway came next. My mom's perfect line of family photos, arranged in neat order like some curated version of happiness. I swept my arm across them. One by one. Glass shattered against the floor. The sound didn't scare me. It felt like air. My mom was shouting now, but it sounded distant. Like I was underwater. Like her voice didn't belong in this moment anymore. I went into the storage room. The one filled with things I was never allowed to touch growing up. Dad's antique tools. His record player. Mom's special decorations. I pulled things down without hesitation. Boxes crashed. Decorations cracked. Years of careful preservation undone in seconds. By the time I reached the kitchen, my hands were shaking. I yanked drawers open, dumping everything out. Silverware clattered across tile. Pots slammed into the floor. Chairs tipped over one by one. Still no tears. No screaming. Just movement. That's when my dad walked in. He stopped in the doorway, taking in the wreckage. The house he'd always tried to keep peaceful. He didn't ask what happened. Didn't say my name. He just pulled out his phone and called the police. When the officers arrived, the house looked like a storm had torn through it. They came in cautiously, scanning everything. My parents rushed to them immediately, pointing at me. "She's out of control," my mom said. "She's always like this. Always causing drama." I was sitting on the living room floor by then, breathing hard, staring at a broken lamp like it meant something. One of the officers asked what happened. Before I could speak, my mom jumped in again, talking about how I ruined the party, ruined the house, ruined the family. Then she said something that finally cut through everything. "That dog situation, she needs to accept it. My other daughter did what was best." I looked up and said one sentence. "They sold my dog." Both officers went quiet. One of them asked, "Who sold him?" My mom hesitated, tried to soften it, called it a misunderstanding. "They didn't care." "Where is your sister?" the officer asked. "My dad said she was on her way, so they told us to wait." 20 minutes later, my sister walked in. She stopped the second she saw the police. Tried to smile like nothing was wrong. They didn't give her time to perform. "Did you sell the dog?" one officer asked. He shrugged. "Yeah." Just like that. Like she expected approval. The officers exchanged a look. Then one of them said, calm and direct, "You're being detained for the unlawful sale of property." She blinked, confused. "A dog isn't property," she argued. The officer didn't raise his voice. "Under the law," he said, "it is." Before she could finish arguing, they turned her around and cuffed her. My parents lost it. My mom tried to step in, physically blocking the officers. My dad kept shouting that this was a family matter, like that somehow overrode the law. The officers didn't even react. They moved past them like they weren't there. Then one of them looked at me. "I'll need you to come to the station too," he said. "We'll sort the rest out there." I didn't argue. I stood up, walked past my parents, and stepped into the cruiser without saying a word. The storm had finally hit, and they had no idea what they'd just set in motion. The police station felt frozen in time. Yellowed walls, a vending machine with prices scratched out and rewritten in marker, a ceiling fan that sounded like it might give up any second. I sat in a hard plastic chair, my hands still scraped from everything I'd done, and waited. My sister had already been taken in through another entrance. I hadn't seen her face when they cuffed her, but I could imagine it. Shock, anger, disbelief. Because in her mind she hadn't done anything wrong. That was the worst part. She genuinely believed Bentley was hers to get rid of. That it made sense. That I didn't deserve something that made me happy. An officer called me into a small room that smelled like paper and stress. "Do you have proof the dog belongs to you?" he asked. I did. I pulled everything out. Adoption papers with my name, vet records, chip registration, receipts, even printed photos from the day I brought Bentley home. He looked through it all, nodded, and made copies. About 20 minutes later, another officer came in and closed the door. They'd found him. Bentley had been sold to a family 2 towns over. No contract, no paperwork. Just a quick post on a neighborhood app with some story about needing to rehome him. The buyers had paid $300 in cash. "They think they were helping," the officer said. "We're already on our way to retrieve him. If the family cooperated, it would be quick. If not, it might take longer, but with my proof they were confident." Then came the question. "Do you want to press charges?" I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't know, but because it still felt unreal. My sister, the one who always got away with everything, was now sitting behind a closed door being treated like anyone else. I asked for a night to think. They said yes. As I was leaving, I heard her. Her voice echoed down the hallway, loud enough for everyone to hear. She was ranting about how I was overreacting, how it was just a dog, how I was unstable, dramatic, out of control. She said our parents were trying to fix things before I made it worse. An officer walking by glanced at me and muttered, "Sounds like a pattern." I didn't ask to see her. I just left. Outside, the cold air hit me, and for the first time in years, something inside me felt lighter. Like all those years of being ignored, dismissed, minimized, were finally turning into something solid. Something real. Something no one could brush off anymore. The next day around noon I got the call. Bentley was safe. The family had been confused, even upset, but once the officer explained and showed the paperwork, they handed him over immediately. They even gave back his toy and the blanket he'd been sleeping with. When I walked into the station, he saw me instantly. His tail went wild. He started whining, pulling toward me. The second I crouched down, he jumped into my arms and buried his face in my jacket. I held on tighter than I ever had. One of the officers smiled. "I don't usually say this," he said, "but you should press charges." I nodded. "I already am." That night my mom called. I didn't answer. Her voicemail started calm and ended in yelling. Something about family business, betrayal, going too far. Then she said it. "If you don't drop this, you're not part of this family anymore." I deleted it before it finished. The next morning I made it official. I changed my locks. Updated my emergency contacts at work. Blocked every number tied to them. Even notified my building. No access, no exceptions. They wanted a line drawn. Now it was permanent. The court date was set. My sister was officially charged with theft. Not a misunderstanding. Not family drama. The law didn't see Bentley as just a dog. Not after she took money and made it look like I'd abandoned him. And the best part? She was going to pay. A formal notice went out. Certified, stamped, impossible to ignore. She had 1 week to return Bentley or pay 5 times what she made from selling him. No negotiations. No excuses. The fallout came fast. Messages started pouring in. From cousins, old family friends, people who hadn't spoken to me in years. Some tried to mediate. Others told me I was overreacting. Not one of them asked what actually happened. They didn't want the truth. They wanted the old version of me. The one who stayed quiet. Who smoothed things over. Who said it's fine even when it wasn't. That version of me was gone. And this time, I wasn't making things easier for anyone. My sister didn't come quietly. Not at first. Thursday, a message arrived from her lawyer. No apology. No explanation. Just a vague offer to resolve things privately, if I agreed to certain terms. I didn't respond. That night, a blocked number called. I ignored it. Then my apartment intercom buzzed. It was her. I stood there for a moment, staring at the speaker, listening to the faint static. Then I pressed the button. No. That was all I said. She didn't leave right away. I could see her through the window, standing outside in the rain, like the weather had decided to match the mood. She called my name once. Then again. I didn't move. Eventually she walked away. The next morning an envelope was slipped under my door. Inside was a short, handwritten note. "I'll buy the dog back. I'll fix it. Just stop. Please." 3 sentences. No apology. No accountability. Just panic. I left it sitting on the table all day. Didn't touch it. Didn't answer. By the next morning her lawyer contacted mine again. This time the tone had changed. She would pay full restitution, $1,500. Not just repayment but a formal agreement. Signed. Binding. An admission of what she'd done and a promise to never contact me about Bentley again. I accepted. The money hit my account that evening. I looked over at Bentley, curled up in his bed, twitching in his sleep, completely at peace. And for the first time in a long time I felt it too. Peace. Then my phone lit up again. An email from my mother. Subject line, "Are you happy now?" The message was long. Angry. Familiar. She called me heartless. Said I'd torn the family apart. Said I'd embarrassed them. She even wrote that my sister had only been trying to give the dog a better life. And that I had turned it into something ugly. And then the line I'd heard my whole life, just dressed a little differently. "Don't come for Christmas. You're not welcome until you apologize." I sat there staring at the screen. Not hurt. Just done. Because I'd heard it all before. Different years, different reasons, same message. Be quiet. Be smaller. Be easier to exclude. I didn't reply. I archived the email and opened a new document. Estate planning. If anything ever happened to me, I didn't want any of them making decisions about my life. Not after this. That night, Bentley slept with his head resting on my leg. I absent-mindedly ran my hand over his ears, staring out the window, thinking about everything I'd let slide for years. They had drawn the line a long time ago. I had just finally stopped crossing it. 3 weeks passed and the silence settled in for good. No calls. No messages. No attempts to fix things. They'd finally understood. I wasn't bluffing. But I knew they were still talking. People like that always do. A friend sent me a screenshot from a local Facebook group. My sister had posted something vague, dramatic, and painfully obvious. Some people take legal action when they can't handle family conversations. Not everyone is emotionally stable. The comments were predictable. Support. Sympathy. A few quiet questions that went unanswered. I didn't react. Didn't comment. Didn't even save it. I just closed the app and opened a new tab. I started looking for a new place. Somewhere with a yard. A week later I had the keys. It wasn't big or flashy. Just a small house at the edge of town. White fence. Quiet street. Enough space to breathe. Real quiet, not the kind that feels temporary. The day I moved in, Bentley ran from room to room like he owned the place. Barking at nothing. Jumping on the couch. Claiming everything. Like he knew we were finally somewhere safe. Meanwhile, back at my parents' house, things weren't so calm. My sister was scrambling. Turns out that $1,500 hurt. She didn't have it to spare. Calls started flying between relatives. My aunt called my cousin. My cousin called Rachel. Rachel called me. The message was simple. Your sister is trying to buy the dog back from the family she sold him to. They're refusing. I replied with one line. She already bought him back. She paid me. End of story. And it was. She tried calling again after that. Left a voicemail, voice low this time. Asking for visiting rights. Like Bentley was a shared responsibility. Like she hadn't stolen him. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Just in case. The last attempt was almost desperate. She posted a lost dog notice online. Used an old photo. Claimed he'd been taken. That didn't last long. The family she sold him to saw it. Reported it. The same officer from our case contacted her with a warning. One more stunt like that and things would escalate. That was the end of it. No more messages. No more noise. The family stopped trying altogether. No invitations. No holidays. No forced conversations. They didn't cut me off in anger. They did it in embarrassment. Because when it mattered they chose the wrong side. And now they had to live with it. Bentley is asleep by the fireplace as I write this, snoring like he owns the place. The house is quiet. But not the kind of quiet I used to know. The kind where you shrink yourself to keep the peace. This is a different kind of quiet. The kind you earn. The kind that stays. And I didn't have to fight for it. I just had to stop opening the door.